Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. It has been quite a while since we have done a if you have this, you don't need that type of video. Basically where I talk about products that seem similar, whether it be in the formula, whether it be in the texture, whether it be in the color family, all those things. And I thought that we would do that today. These types of videos, if you guys are not familiar with them, they are not necessarily dupe videos. They are not going to dupe each other, but I found some characteristics within some products that are so similar that you could probably pass on getting something that is like pretty much gonna fill that void in your makeup collection. And this time I actually have a couple of things that you guys have asked me about to compare two products because you were debating between two, and I personally thought that they were really good, so I wanted to include them in this video. As always, you guys, I'm gonna have everything linked down below as well as in the YouTube shopping tab so you could easily find these products, and when you guys do use those, it does help out the channel, so I really appreciate it. The first one was one that you guys brought to my attention. I didn't make the connection myself. I don't know why. I think I was just in the thick of trying new products, but it is the Tower 28 Go-Go Cooling Eye Stick and the Danessa Myricks Duo Sticks, specifically the metallic side of things. I'm going to be comparing the metallic and the Tower 28 because the Danessa Myricks does come with a foil. I have the Go-Go stick in the shade Troubadour, and you are supposed to keep that little plastic thingy right here, whereas with the Danessa Myricks one, you are not required to keep it. Danessa herself said that you could chuck that because these are airtight components. And we are not going to be comparing the shade. I mean, both of them are kind of in the bronzy category. This one is going to be more champagne-y bronze, while the Danessa Myricks one is going to be a little bit more of a dirty bronze, a little bit deeper. That's the one that I have on my eyes today. So I think that these are both quite similar, and if you have one, you don't need the other. I mean, that's the whole point of this video, right? So first off, talking about the very obvious comparison, both of these have a cooling sensation. When you put them on the eye, like you swipe them on the eye, either one, you're going to have this wet kind of cold feeling. It's not minty. It just has like this sort of cooling, refreshing feeling to them. Very nice. Is it necessary for how this applies on the eyes? No, it's not, but it feels really fun. Like the sensorial feel of it does feel a little bit more innovative, or just, I guess, refreshing compared to other shadow sticks. And like I said, the metallic side of the duo for the Danessa Myricks is the one that's going to be the most similar in finish to the Tower 28 one. This is my only Tower 28 one, so I can't speak on the finish of all of them, but it does look like online that they are very much the same, just different colors. Now let's talk about the differences here. So Danessa Myricks does feel a little bit more wet, I guess, on the eyes upon first application, and it doesn't dry down as quickly as the Tower 28, but with that being said, both of them do dry down quite fast, so you're going to want to work really quickly. I like to kind of do a couple swipes, blend it out, do a couple swipes and blend it out, and work on one eye at a time, because if you don't, it will definitely set down before you can get to blending. And I like to just blend both of these with my fingers. They are quite nice for one and done eyeshadows, and they, as you can see, look really done up. In terms of how they wear though, you will have to prep these differently. So I do find that the Danessa Myricks sticks kind of last longer. The longevity on these are a little bit better, whereas the Tower 28 one, in general, it does swipe on thinner, even though it does have that same finish. And because it is thinner, I think the film on this one is just less, so it's going to crease a little bit faster. I do have to use a primer with the Tower 28 one, whereas with the Danessa Myricks one, I don't have to, but it does help. Sometimes I do get some creasing on the inner corners of my eyes, but if I'm only wearing it for a couple of hours, I don't see too much happening there. So you will have to prep it differently. Danessa almost feels like, you know, like the Kulfi cream eyeshadows, when you put those on and they dry, they kind of create this like hard film. Not hard, but like you can feel it, like if you touch it kind of feels like a dried down film. That's kind of what's happening here, except not as intensely. So that's why this one is lasting a bit longer, whereas the Tower 28 one seems to kind of move with the eyes. But overall, I feel like it gives me about the same effect on the eyes. If I want something quick, I will just grab one of these. If I want something that's just going to be a one and done, if I want to feel that cooling sensation, these both have it. So in terms of picking which one is best for you, if you want more options in terms terms of finishes, go with the Danessa Myricks, since you do get that duo. You have the foil and you have the metallic. But if you know you just want one shade, you're not going to touch the other shade of whatever duo you're looking at for the Danessa Myricks, Tire 20 is the way to go, especially because it's half the price. And it does seem like while they do have colorful options, they're a little bit more toned down than Danessa Myricks is. And these can come off a little bit intensely, so it's a bit difficult to wear this on an everyday basis if what you're looking for is something that is more subtle. I'm going on a trip quite soon, so I've been kind of playing around with different products to see which ones I want to pack for my trip, which prompted me to test these against each other, and I was like, wow, these are actually so incredibly similar. So this is the Benefit POREfessional foundation and the brand new Natasha Denona HY-GLAM foundation. You guys, I have such a hard time saying Natasha Denona. I get so tongue twisted when I say it. Anyways, so I have this in the shade 15N, and then this one I have in N9. This is the same as the concealer. This was very hard to shade match, just FYI, so I would recommend you go into the store and you figure out which one is your best shade match. But let's talk about how these are similar. So these truly have pretty much the same finish on the skin once I finish my makeup and I powder them down. I have both of them on my face, one on either side. It probably looks pretty similar to you guys. It looks pretty similar to me, honestly. This was an interesting one for me to find because these are marketed pretty differently in my opinion. So the Natasha Denona one is a serum foundation and it's going to be really, really runny, and it has a hydrating finish when you first apply this and you blend it out, but then once it dries down, it does become a little bit more of a natural finish, but it definitely looks more hydrated right off the bat. But where this one shines is that you can really layer up with powders, whether it be a setting powder, a finishing powder, or even bronzer and blush powders. And this one starts off more matte. Like you can definitely see as you're applying the Benefit one, this one is intended to be more of a matte finish. I would say that on my skin, it looks a bit like a satin matte finish or like a velvet matte finish. It's not dry, it doesn't look bad on the skin, it doesn't emphasize any pores. I really enjoy this one, and I was very pleasantly surprised by the Benefit one because I didn't think that anything that started off this matte would be my cup of tea, but it truly lasts such a long time throughout the day, and this does dry a lot faster than the Natasha one. If you guys are familiar with this one, Natasha Denona does recommend that you let this one dry down for 15 minutes after you apply it before continuing on with the rest of your makeup, just to allow the foundation to kind of sink into the skin and kind of like absorb, I guess. To be quite honest with you guys, I never really wait the 15 minutes. If anything, max, I've waited like 10 minutes and it still looks incredible. The coverage of these I think are very close. The Benefit one, it does kind of give you more coverage right off the bat, but the Natasha one you can build up to be pretty much the same. I would categorize these as being medium to full coverage, like medium to full buildable coverage, but I'll usually leave it at one layer and then whatever else I need to cover up, I'll just go in with concealer and it looks pretty much identical. These are going to be the foundations that I reach for when I want something a little bit more high coverage. And like I said, when concealer hits it, when I powder down my face, I bake it, I set it, I do all the things, they pretty much look the same. Like I can get them to look identical on the skin. With the Benefit one, I would suggest that you work in sections just because this one does start off more matte, so it does dry down faster. Whereas the Natasha one, you can kind of spread all over the skin and then blend it out and it's fine. But where this gets really interesting and where I thought, wow, this is very similar, other than like my finished face, is that they have about the same lasting power, but Natasha wins. Natasha lasts longer on my oily skin. I do have oily skin and I do live in a humid climate, so having something that lasts past those things is very important if I'm looking for something that has full coverage and a longevity. And this one, surprisingly, even though it starts off more hydrated, lasted longer. So when I was initially comparing them, the Natasha one, I could see a little bit less oils coming through with this one, and that was surprising for me. I truly thought the Benefit would last, but with that being said, these both lasted me over 10 hours, so no complaints there. So when you're deciding between the two, I think it's important to look at how long you typically wear your makeup, what kind of climate you live in, and what kind of finish you tend to like, and what kind of like fits into your makeup routine. So for me, if I'm going for long wear, full coverage, I'm gonna go with the Natasha one, and because I am traveling to the West Coast, it is drier there, so I think that this one is going to just like last throughout the day a little bit better. Whereas with the Benefit one, if you don't really want to fuss with any sort of powders, maybe you want to just do a light dusting, you don't want to bake, or you have more dry to normal skin but you want something that's more matte, then the Benefit POREfessional one I think is going to be the one that you want to look at. Both are great though. I really enjoy both of them, and they look lovely on the skin. This is another one that you guys actually requested I do, and I actually did a short on this one, so I will play that really quickly for you. We're going to be comparing the Violette FR Lip Nectar with the Kulfi lip stain today. I have the shade Rose de Mauve, which is a beautiful, perfect nude shade, and Kulfi's lip stain in the shade Caramel. I'm going to first swatch these on the back of the hand. In terms of shade, I'm seeing right away that Violette FR looks a little bit more on the warmer beige side, while Caramel looks a little bit more rosy nude. I have nothing on my lips, so I'm going to compare the colors with Violette FR on this side and then Kulfi on this side. Both of these do warm up while you have them on the lips. In terms of texture and feel, Violette FR feels a little bit more thick and hydrating, while the Kulfi one feels like it's a little slippery and more like your standard Asian lip stain. I think the shine coming off of both of them are pretty equal. So it's been a few minutes, and honestly, I feel like the shades on the lips look closer than when they're swatched out. At least on my lips, which are not very pigmented, the Kulfi Caramel looks a little bit like a touch deeper, while the Violette FR does have a little bit, again, more of that beigey tone versus being more of a rosy brown tone. But if you're looking for more hydration and comfort throughout the day, I would say Violette FR is the way to go. But if you want longer lasting stainage, then I think that the Kulfi one is better. I will say though, I love both of these equally. As you can see, it's the Violette FR and the Kulfi Lassi lips. These are both going to be lip stains, glossy lip stains, and they are beautiful. If you are someone that is similar in complexion and you're looking for a really nice neutral, almost pinky brown type of glossy lip stain that doesn't pull too red, doesn't pull too pink, these are definitely such great options, and I love both of them for very different reasons. But I do truly feel like if you have one in this particular shade, then you don't need the other one because they're just going to look the same. But I would recommend, if you're eyeing a different color in one of these, then maybe go with that. You don't need these two specific colors, but both formulas I would highly recommend. Like I said in the short, the Violette FR Rose de Mauve looks more warm caramelly, so this one is going to be a little bit lighter, whereas the Kulfi one does pull slightly more deep on me. But the Kulfi one does definitely last a lot longer in terms of this stainage. But in terms of gloss, I do think that the Violette one stays shiny longer, and this one does feel like it's actually hydrating the lips, while this one I use more for the color and the aesthetic. Not that either one is drying or feels uncomfortable or anything. Again, it's going to come down to your preference. If you're looking for something more hydrating, a little bit thicker, and something that pulls more almost nudie, Violette is the way to go. But if you want a long-lasting stain, something that's slightly more deep and acts pretty much like your cream glossy lip stain, then the Kulfi one is definitely the way to go. This is a really fun one because we have a high-end and a drugstore version for this one. So it's the Essence Lip Oil and the Summer Fridays Lip Oil, specifically the shade Rosewood Nights and Mocha Glow in the Essence one. So these shades are quite similar. Now I will say that they are not identical when you swatch them. The Essence one does look a little bit more red toned, while the Summer Fridays looks a little bit more like a cool brown tone. But when I get it on the lips, and if I put the same amount on, then they pretty much look the same, at least on my lips. And you guys keep in mind that I don't have a ton of pigment on my lips, so of course this is going to translate differently if you have like much more pigmented natural lips than I do. So the feel of them and the way that they look, the shine and everything, to my eyes are very, very similar, but I will say that they do feel slightly different, and I can get them to feel the same, but when I'm looking at how much I actually use of each product, then they do feel different to me. The Essence one does feel a little bit more creamy and almost controlled, like it's going to stay more in place, whereas with the Summer Fridays lip oil, it's a bit more silky, it glides a bit more, and it's even more juicy. So this one can tend to move around on the lips a little bit more. I've never had an issue with it kind of traveling outside of my lip lines, but I have heard feedback from other people that that happens to them. The Essence one, I would say, stays in place a bit more, and while this is a lip oil that I intended to use for the color, I feel like this is a lip oil that actually feels hydrating on the lips. Like, I have used this to prep my lips before doing my makeup, or just to like throw it on when I wanted something a bit more hydrating, and it feels really nice. It's not one of those lip oils where you take it off or it fades away and your lips feel more dry than when you initially put it on, you know? So the way that I would describe the Summer Fridays texture is more as like a gel oil hybrid, while the Essence one is a little bit more like a satin cream when it comes to a lip oil, but both of them have sheer opacity. So that's why, even though this is more of a satin creamy texture, it's not going to give you an opaque satin cream like a lipstick or like a liquid lipstick, you know? So because this does have a little bit more body to it, I think that this one actually lasts a bit longer on my lips. And I know that was a big gripe for a lot of people with the Summer Fridays one. It was that they didn't feel like it lasted very long at all on their lips. And with the price tag that this one has, that is definitely a concern. So if you're looking for longevity between these two, maybe you already have this, you love it, you love the color, and you love the way that it shines on the lips, but you want something that you're not going to have to reapply as much, then the Essence one really is a great one to go for. But let me throw in a little curveball here. If you're looking for a texture twin, these two, surprisingly, are very, very similar in texture. This is also from Summer Friday, but this is the Lip Butter Balm. So this is going to be their lip balm, and I'm comparing it to the lip oil. And when I put these on, you guys, like one after the other, they truly felt so similar. The lip butter from Summer Fridays definitely has a bit of a like a plushness that a lip balm gives you that a lip oil doesn't necessarily tend to give you. But then when it absorbs a little bit, it feels very, very similar to how the Essence one feels upon application. They both have this sort of like creamy glide to them when you apply them. Both feel like a balm, neither are sticky, but again, you can't deny the fact that this feels slightly more like an oil, slightly more like a balm. But I'm telling you, when you have it on and you rub your lips together, it gives you that same plush like glide that the other one does. I will say, while they're not color dupes the same way that the lip oil is, they have about the same opacity. So if you're looking for a lip balm that has a sheer opacity but still has a little color to it, or if you're looking for lip oil that does the same thing, then these two are very similar. Maybe if you have experience with one, you'll probably like the finish or the color payoff of the other one. So how would I recommend these to you? How would I like help you pick which one to go for on your based on your preferences? If you're looking for longevity, then go with the Essence one above the Summer Fridays ones. This one definitely lasts longer on the lips. If you want more moisture and shine, then I would say go with the Lip Butter Balm. And then if you want something that's really easy, high shine, you know, gel oil, and maybe you don't need it to last super, super long and you don't like something that feels really thick on the lips, then go with the lip oil from Summer Fridays. Now this next one is one that I knew I wanted to buy both of them whenever they released, and I knew I would like both of them because they're pretty much interchangeable, and I had an idea that they would be, and I was definitely correct. So we have these two blushes. They are the Ciele Flush and Protect blush and the Ilia Soft Focus Blurring blush. So I have two shades here. I do have multiple of both of them, unfortunately. Yeah, I did go a little crazy, but this is the shade Ready and this is the shade Breathless. In terms of shades, they are quite different. The Ready shade is a bit more on the red side, where Breathless this is a bit more of a nudie pink shade. I have both of them on today, just mixed together, but in these B-roll shots, you will see one on either cheek. And I feel like in terms of the color, if you like one color, you'll probably like the other one that I'm showing you guys today. But the actual finish of both of these are almost identical to where you don't need both of them. So they both have a very sheer wash of color to them, even though the shade Ready from Ciele is going to be more of the bolder shade in terms of their shade range that they came out with. But I think these are really interesting because for such a long time we were very used to, and probably still are very used to, blushes that have a lot of intensity, a lot of pigmentation off of like the first half of your brush, and then once you get it on the cheeks you like have to blend out that pigment, whereas this one you sort of build it up. And it's really nice because I have yet to go overboard with either of these. They just look like such a natural wash of color, and it's almost like a whisper of color, but you can build it up to where it's very noticeable on the cheeks, but never does it look like too much. It never gives me like a clown blush look, you know? There's no glitter or shimmer in either of these. They have sort of like this pearlescent finish. The Ilia one more so than the Ciele one. I think the Ilia one you can see more obviously in the pan as well as in the swatches, whereas the Ciele one, it looks more like a matte finish here, but it's not a flat matte. Something that I would consider a flat matte would be something like the Tower 28 powder blushes. Those are definitely like matte blushes, but the Ciele one, it has like a soft focus to it, and I think because of that it does sort of pull a little bit like a pearlescent, but I don't think there's anything in here that is trying to make it look like a pearly finish. Both of them do have skincare ingredients, but honestly, like if I'm being so real with you guys, I think that the most beneficial one comes from Ciele because it does have that sun protection. It has a mix of physical and chemical sunscreens in it, but even then, I feel like not a lot of people care too much about blush having sunscreen. I think that's a very popular trend going on right now. I don't know if it's going to go past 2025. I don't mind it. Like, it doesn't affect the way this applies. It doesn't affect the way it wears. I think it's nice. I think it's a nice bonus, but it's not going to stop me from wearing my usual SPF. So when you feel these, they both feel very thin and lightweight. And like I said, you can see, or maybe not see, it's very, very sheer. And I really have been enjoying that. I've been loving being able to kind of control how much pigment comes out of my blushes and being able to really build it up. And there's something about a sheer blush right now that just makes my skin look like it's glowing from the inside out. So which one should you choose? I do kind of feel like the Ilia blushes, I am more drawn to the colors that they came out with. So definitely shade range is going to play a big part here. But if both of the shade ranges are kind of like calling to you, maybe there are shades in both of them that you're debating between, I think it'll come down to the shade and also if you want SPF in your blush. Some people may be a little bit more sensitive to a chemical sunscreen, and these do have chemical sunscreens in it. Oh, but I do want to mention that I kind of feel like despite the colors, or actually not despite the colors, in relation to the colors, I do think that the Ilia one does build up a little bit faster, but the shade Ready, I noticed, builds up faster than the shade Breathless. But if I were to compare, say, the shade Wonder from Ilia to the shade Ready, this one would build faster than the Ciele one. So it is dependent on what color, but I do feel like these Ilia ones are a little bit softer and they apply a bit more, but still very sheer. My last one is my most recent find and I was super excited. It was actually one of the reasons why I was like, ooh, now is the time to do one of these videos. These two right here, the Laneige Glaze Craze Lip Balm. Is this a lip balm? Lip serum. And the brand new Kulfi lip balms. These are the Lip Snack Glossing lip balms. I have this in the shade Coconut Chum Chum, and that's what I have on today. And I paired it with the Singe Beauty lip liner in Radical Rosewood. The finish, the texture, even down to the scent, very similar. So both of these formulas upon application have a very immediate, smooth, cushiony, balm-like feel. The applicators are going to be different. So they're both silicone, and the Kulfi is going to be more of your traditional kind of curved silicone tip here that follows the curvature of your lips, while the Laneige one is going to be that little donut silicone thing. I feel like some people love this, some people hate it. I don't mind it. I don't feel too strongly either way, like it's fine. This one smells so good. So this one smells like brown sugar boba. It smells so good to me. And I do feel like the Kulfi one, at least this one, does have a very similar sweet scent to it. It's a little bit lighter in terms of how sugary it is, and also overall it's more subtle, so it doesn't like hit you in the face whenever you're applying it. They're both non-sticky. The Kulfi one I today put on a little bit less because I wanted more color, less shine here. So you can control the Kulfi one a little bit more than you can the Laneige one. The Laneige one right off the bat looks very drippy, very high shine, and it has a lot of pigment there. Now where they differ for me is that the Kulfi one does feel like it has more grip on the lips. This one does have a little bit more longevity to it. This one will last me a few hours before I have to reapply it, whereas the Laneige one, I feel like this one, because it is more slippery and wet and high shine, you know, it kind of disappears a bit faster. So with that being said, the Kulfi one, it's not going to migrate as much on the lips or on the face, I guess. The Laneige one, I think, is more of a classic Korean glossy lip where you could kind of create a gradient so you can get a lot of pigment and then it kind of like gradients out on the lips, you know, something a little bit more like that. I think it's more true to that style, whereas the Kulfi one is a bit more westernized where the pigmentation and the gloss in it are a bit more proportionate. So you're going to get a good amount of gloss, but also a good amount of pigmentation as well. So how would I help you decide between these two? So if you're looking for something that is a little bit more grippy, it's going to last a bit longer on the lips, and it's still going to have some pretty good pigmentation and really nice shine, the Kulfi one I think is going to be the one for you. And if you want something super high shine, smells like a snack honestly, and has more nudie natural colors, I guess, then the Laneige one I think is really nice. And again, if you're looking for high shine, this one, let me put a little bit on. Let's just layer the two right now. So I'm just gonna put, you see, definitely adds a bit more shine. When you compare the textures of them, they really do feel very similar. Okay, that was everything for this video where I'm helping you guys decide. If you have one, then you probably don't need the other one. Do you guys own any of these, and were you considering looking at one of these counterparts? Let me know in the comments down below if this video was helpful for any of you. I would love to know if you also see similarities between these products. And if you have some that you think are very similar where you don't need one if you have the other, let us know in the comments down below. I think it's super helpful whenever you guys give your feedback as well. As always, you guys, if you enjoyed this video, I'm going to leave another one right here in case you are curious to see what else we can talk about. And if you want to hang out a bit longer, I would love that. But until next time, you guys, I hope you take care and I will see you very soon. Bye.